Motorfiets Grand Prix vir internasionale en plaaslike renjaars. Saam met ons vandag, Roger McCleary.
And that's what we're going to be bringing you today. A big welcome to you on TSS from Kyalami. International Motor Racing has returned to South Africa. In a big way, we've got the JVC South African Kart Grand Prix. That's going to take place in just a few moments' time. And then later in the afternoon, we've got the Nashua 250 Grand Prix motorcycle race. And that's going to be a real thrill. The South Africans right up there, as are the South Africans in the JVC South African Kart Grand Prix. There's the program. We're about 7-8 minutes away from the first round of the Grand Prix, and that will also be shown on this afternoon. It'll be the ATP tennis, the tour highlights. They'll be on the TSS as well. And as you see there, TV1 will be carrying the Nashua 250cc motorcycle Grand Prix, so you need to swap over to TV1 at 2:10. It won't be carried on the spare channel you're watching right now. It'll be shown on TV1 at 2:10, as will the Kart Grand Prix, the final round, which will be shown at 4 on TV1. So we've got a full program of international racing. There's Superbikes coming up. There's the Toyota Sports Celebrity Race. And then we'll also bring you some highlights, some recorded highlights of the German touring cars from the Nürburgring. So that's going to be something to look forward to, because of course we've got the Yellow Pages German touring cars coming to Kyalami on 30th of November. So November, a big time for motor racing in South Africa. There's Ian Schechter on the left-hand side. Sorry to give you up so early in the morning there, Ian. John Small is on the right. He's the chairman of the Enduro Commission. They've just been over to Czechoslovakia, where they did very well in the World Championship ISDE. South Africans coming home 12th out of 25 countries. Well, as you can see, the brollies and the covers are out. It has been spitting down here this morning. But I think, Louis, you're normally our weather forecaster. What is the weather going to do today?
Well, Rog, it looks as though it's going to stay as it is, and a little bit of rain here and there. But somehow I don't think it's going to come down like it did yesterday afternoon. Yesterday afternoon, as you looked out of this particular commentary box, it looked as though you were right smack bang in the middle of winter in Cape Town. It was heavy, it was overcast, it was even cold, and the rain came down. The track was absolutely soaked, and the guys went out, maybe 5 or 6 of them, went out in the final qualifying session for today's 250cc Grand Prix, and they were doing times, well, 15, 20 seconds off the pace. Well, horsepower of a different kind today. Here at Kyalami, we're going to see pocket rockets fly around this circuit. Times of like 1 minute 23, and that really is lightning fast. 1:23.45 is the fastest time that's been set up today. That's pole position by the world champion, Perry Gronstra, who's of course all the way from Holland. And he, as I spoke to him yesterday, he says he loves the circuit, and he really, really enjoys the challenge of being here at Kyalami. And come rain or sunshine, to him, it makes no difference.
Wel, daar is die wegspring volgorde van die eerste skof vir die JVC Suid-Afrikaanse renstel Grand Prix. En soos jy kan sien, ongelooflike tyd van 1 minuut 23,45. Die vinnigste soos ek het wat nog om Kyalami in die huidige formaat gejaag is, die huidige wêreldkampioen Perry Gronstra, kerel daar van Hollandse wêreld af. Torgeir Kleppe is in die tweede posisie, en soos jy kan sien, so 'n sekonde of wat stadiger, met Butterguy Cullen Wimmer van West-Duitsland en Wade Nelson van Suid-Afrika op 1:25,1 sekondes. Nou, ons gaan nou 'n geweldige interessante stryd sien tussen hierdie top renjaars in die 250cc renstelle van die buiteland en Suid-Afrika se Wade Nelson, en Derek Irving en Louis van Skalkwyk, Chad Wenzel ook daar hoog op die wegspring rooster, en Marcel Angel ook van Suid-Afrika. Heel wat eende weer wat ons vandag hier gaan sien. En ons verwag natuurlijk dat indien die baan glad gaan wees as gevolg van die reën, dan gaan daar heel wat aksie wees op die wegspringrooster en natuurlijk weer die res van die wedren. Daar is die renstelle bezig om nou uit te gaan. Nummer 30 wat u daar kan zien, Josef Vloeme van West-Duitsland en sy Zip Eagle. Hy is een bietjie verder terug op die wegspringrooster. Ons gaan kyk waar is hy. Hy is heel wat verder terug. Al 57 van hierdie renstelle op die wegspringrooster, en dit gaan Roger actie wees, soos wat ons langpas gesien het.
It certainly is, and these are machines that need to be driven by the brave and the courageous. They are violent little racing machines. As you can see, slick tires on have been selected by most of the teams, because if it starts to rain anymore, they're going to be in deep trouble. They'll be getting no grip on the road whatsoever. 250cc Rotax engines, the lot of them, and as you can see, the pilot, and that man in picture there now at the moment is Josef Flume. He's from Germany. And you can see the engines at his right elbow. He's sitting in amongst the machinery. He's got exhaust pipes to the right of him. He's got exhaust pipes to the back of him. He's got a rev count in the center of his steering wheel, as you can see there now. Those engines rev to about 12,500 RPM. He's got 4 disc brakes, and he really is sitting in amongst the machinery. And the way that they are sitting is the correct way to sit at a steering wheel, as they do in the Formula 1 machines. They sit like this. Of course, they've got a lot more substance around them in a Formula 1 racing car. You can see the headrest, tremendous G-forces in these machines, and they put up the fastest laps any vehicle has done around the circuit on the new Kyalami Grand Prix circuit. The 250 Grand Prix karts, as you see them down there, are the fastest machines. They are violently fast. You need a lot of experience to drive them. They run these very big slick tires. You can see the front tires are bigger slicks than we've seen in this country before. And the big ones, it's a lot of rubber on the road, the big ones that are fitted to the rear of the machine. That's from a kart you're looking at the moment. He's from the MSI Vehicle Security, local sponsor here. And an interesting one we're trying here on the karts, of course, they've got no suspension whatsoever, is Chad Wenzel. You've all heard of Chad Wenzel in GTR racing and karting before. He's driving the MSI Vehicle Security kart, and he's going to be carrying our onboard camera. So that could be interesting to see. It's very low, close to the road, and that's going to be exciting to see, provided it all works. There's the flying lawyer. Hector North just getting pushed away there. He's a Springbok, has had experience in World Championship racing, and there's a big mixture of the overseas drivers with the South Africans right up there with them. At the moment, Perry Grants is on pole position from Holland, the world champion. Alongside him is Norwegian Klepper. It's Torgia Klepper, and then we've got Dave Buttigieg and Simon Cullen, all well known in karting. They're driving and a mixture of Andersons and Dinos and Ninja karts. And then the first of the South Africans, Wade Nelson, 86 world champion in the Dino Rotex. He's 6th on the grid with Derek Irving in 7th. They really are pumped up to go, is Irving, and he really rises to the occasion on days like this.
So there you are, looking right into a machine, a 250cc kart, and these karts really, really do fly around the circuit. And Craig Nicholson there, and he will see how he can do in today's particular event. So 3 heats of this particular format this afternoon. The first 2 heats over 8 laps, and then the final heat just before the World Cup on TV1. You'll be able to see that one before the World Cup, before England take on Australia, and that'll be on Television 1, and that race will be over 10 laps. So 2 8ers and then a 10-lap race. There you can see them in pit road, waiting to get out onto the circuit. Weather conditions still overcast, and the chances of rain, I would say a good 70% chance of rain through the course of the day. It doesn't look as though it's going to clear up, but then here on the Highveld, anything is possible. So there it is, the grid for today's JVC South African Kart Grand Prix Heat number 1. Perry Fronstra, the world champion, is way out in front, really, if you have a look at that time. And, of course, 8 laps of the circuit, 3.88 kilometer circuit, and that really is very fast. That's in the average of about 158, 159 kilometers an hour around this particular circuit. Right, from Kyalami, we'll be back in just a moment. Seven touring cars, Yellow Pages 200, and then the circuit, of course, will be completed, hopefully, by the 31st of December, and knowing Motor Racing Enterprises, it certainly will be, for inspection. And then, of course, the big one on the 1st of March here at Kyalami, the 1992 South African Formula 1 Grand Prix, the very first one of the 1992 season. Of course, don't forget, tomorrow morning, it's the Australian Grand Prix, and the battle's still on for the Constructors' Championship between the McLaren Hondas and the Williams Renaults. Well, that's one way of watching motor racing here at Kyalami. Just don't turn the fan off.
Right, and it's a great pleasure to welcome to our commentary box today Robert Langford, of course, well known to South African motorsport fans from the old Kyalami days. Robert has been involved in motor sport here in South Africa, and also changed the whole level of motorsport commentary in this country before moving overseas, becoming the circuit inspector for Formula 1 racing cars, and now into circuit inspection for the CR case. Nice to welcome you here, Robert, to Kyalami.
Thank you indeed, Roger. It's very nice to be back, and I'm only sorry the sun's not shining on us today, but it's going to make for better racing, I think, as long as we don't get any more rain than we've had, because all these boys are really geared up for this race. They've been looking for it for a long while, They love coming out here, the overseas people, and there's no question about it. Some of your local talent is determined to show that the foreigners haven't got it all their own way.
Which is nice to see. Do you think they're a little bit surprised about that, having coming from World Championship Grand Prix?
Well, yes, indeed. It really is. It does show that the sport has been very much alive in this country, although there hasn't been a great deal of international competition for them recently. But nevertheless, they've kept their standard up very high. And, of course, you've got to remember that it's only 2-3 years ago that your own Wade Nelson was the world champion.
That's right. So we've always been right in the picture. Right, let's have a look at the grid before we get the racing underway. Terry Gronstra, of course, World Championship, almost expected on pole position. And then it's Torgeir Klepper from Norway. But South Africans sitting there in 6th position. Your sort of prediction how this race will go? 8 laps, of course, is almost like a sprint.
Oh, very much so. Terry Gronstra is really an exciting driver to watch. And most of the other drivers say, well, it's no use trying to hang behind him, because if you try and copy what he's doing in corners, we're all going to come to grief. He seems to get away with it somehow, and to see him throw these little carts around is quite extraordinary. And you've got to remember, Roger, that none of these carts have got any suspension at all. And going at the speeds they're going, it's almost impossible for them to see, because their eyeballs are bobbling up and down like nobody's business. In point of fact, their eyes are working like suspension.
So what do you just relax your eyeballs?
Well, I think that's all you can do. And also, going with the no suspension, every bump you go over feels like a vast rock in the ground.
And what do they feel about the surface here? Fairly smooth at Kyalami?
Well, they said it is a bit bumpy, but they all love it. There are no real complaints. They expect a motor race circuit. It's not like a small kart circuit, which is probably more like a billiard table to them. But here, they expect it. This is not as bad as many they've seen. And now I think the pace car is just about to move off. So over to you, Roger, for the moment.
Right, thanks very much, Robert. Just one little thing before we start looking at what's going to happen on the track. Terry Gronstra, I believe, under his leathers, he drives with a suit and tie.
Well, I spoke to him about that yesterday, in fact, Rog. Today he will not be driving with his tie and his collar, because what he says is that right through the course of the week, he is always in overalls and T-shirts and jeans, and he said when he goes to work on a Sunday, that's when he wears it. But he's, of course, not racing on a Sunday today. Today, of course, being a Saturday, and he reckons that seems as though it's a Saturday, he won't be wearing that tie under his overalls.
Well, there's another little insight into these drivers. World champions, you'll see him in part number 1. Alongside him, they line up, Robert, what, 5-4, 5-4?
No, 4-3, 4-3.
So we've got 4 of them on the front row, and they'll be hitting the starting line at about 40 to 45 kilometers, and now they're trying to warm up their tires.
Very controlled, slow start, a slow rolling start. We hope to keep them down to about 40 kilometers, but the moment that light goes green, woof, you'll see them take off.
Right, we've got the BMW pace car coming up the West Bank hill, the Winfield Hill to the West Bank corner, as you can see on the graphic below there. This is a heavy braking point here, all new camera position. We've got a new look to Kyalami, looks superb here, getting ready for more international racing happening at the end of the month. And of course, the big one next year is the South African Grand Prix. Right, this is down the mine shaft, and it is well known now. It's a famous hill. It is a frightening hill, and to come down here flat out in 6th gear, they'll be hitting about 220, 230 as they go through IGI corner into Continental. This is Continental now, one of the tricky ones where you need a little dab of the brake, and then you start to accelerate. And just when you are starting to get it all sorted out, they go left through Brilliant Science corner, which is this one here, and down one of the fastest points on the circuit. Top speed of these cars, Robert, 250?
Oh, about 250 kilometers. Well, that is really a maximum. We've had them in Silverstone in England. We've timed them on the main straight at 246 kilometers an hour, which is quite fantastic.
Well, these machines are driven by the brave, by the courageous. You've got to have a lot of experience to sit behind and jam yourself into one of these World Championship karts. Very sophisticated karting, of course, started slick tires. They run with no tread whatsoever. So when it starts to rain during this race, during the 8 laps, they're going to be in trouble. Gronstra saying to the pace car, get going, get going. We want to get our tires warmed up. He's on the left, kart number 1. Alongside him, he's got number 12, is Torgeir Klepper. He's from Norway, many times champion there. Then we've got Dave Buttigieg, and we've got Simon Cullen, also from the UK, alongside him.
A very nice formation, and they're bringing them in very nice and slowly now. You will usually find these experienced drivers in the front are used to this type of start, a slow rolling start. Here they're just coming around now into sight of the start line, and it's a pretty good formation. Those 4 in the front row, Not too bad at all, and let them go their away.
And we're in the 8 laps of explosive action as they get the green light and get underway. The world champion has faded from the front row there as they start to overtake him. Of course, with South Africans wanting to do well. Derek Irving, watch for him in number 31. Watch for Wade Nelson. He's going to be thereabouts as well. They're already on the yellow pages and heading for it. Godfrey in the front. The world champion's gone to the front. Neil Bernick, former South African champion, is in there as well. Big field of, we've got 8 countries represented here. There's 25 South Africans in this field. We've got 11 drivers from the UK, a Norwegian, Austrian, 4 Germans, 3. And already we've got action. Number 3 there. That's Raymer Winner from Austria, spinning out of the way as they head down the mine shaft.
And I think he collided there with Wade Nelson, Roger. I think that was Wade Nelson who was involved in that collision as well. But as they come out through Continental Tires corner, up the hill, it's still the world champion, Terry Gronster. In amongst them there as well is Dave Buttigieg. He's there as well. There really is a titanic struggle as they go down the hill towards Total Curve. There you can see them come out and around, and we'll just try and work out that. Looks like Derek Irving is in second place. Derek Irving, in fact, Irving's gone into the lead.
In the lead.
So Derek Irving takes the world champion here at Kyalami, and that's going to get the fans going, because the South African leads the world champion as they go across the line to complete the first of 8 laps here. The first of 8 laps over the line, Derek Irving in the lead with the world champion Terry Gronstra behind him. Then coming through in third position, that's Torge Klepper. Klepper's through into third place, and Dave Buttigieg is in fourth position. But what a great start by South Africa's Derek Irving. As you can see from last week, those shark's teeth no longer on the side of the circuit as you come round the outside of yellow pages, and I'm sure that's going to make the karters a bit happier, because they will have every single inch of the road now to work with without the fear of those crocodile and shark's teeth. Well, Terry Gronstra goes into the lead coming up to West Bank. Down the mine shaft they'll go, and that is when they're going to be flying at 240 kilometers an hour.
And an opening lap there of 1 minute and 26 already down around the lap record. We've got Irving now challenging Gronstra as they go through the top sport. Through Continental Corner. They got round here in the second lap already. Remember, this race is only over 8 laps. Number 1 is Gronstra, and Irving challenging. Goes through on the inside as they go around. Very fast, lovely shot as they go down the Brilliant Sounds Hill. Here they come. It's Irving in the front. It's Gronstra, the world champion. Then we've got Klepper moving up. Klepper number 12. He's from Norway.
Norwegian to the lead.
And he's got through to the lead there. Klepper's gone to the front. Then it's Irving. Gronstra's next. And then we've got Dave Buttigieg in fourth position. A big battle going on in the front there. A little further back, we've got the South African Chad Wenzel. Hopefully we're going to see that camera at some stage. But these 4 are getting away from the others. Derek Irving being helped in this championship race by Mobile and by Michelin to really get his kart competitive here. And look at them, using all the road. It's Irving in third position, behind Gronstra. Number 2 in the picture, there's Buttigieg. Buttigieg started 10 years ago. He's a 3 times British champion, a very, very competitive driver. The world champion in sight now as they come up the Winfield Hill. Here they come. They come out of the second, the top sport S's. This is the third lap already as they come up the hill. It's Klepper. It's Gronstra. Derek Irving thereabouts, staying right in the picture. Wade Nelson is making up time there after those early excursions off the road. Wade Nelson starting to get back into the picture. The order as they into their third lap already is Klepper in the front there. Number 12 is Klepper and Gronstra. And then we've got Derek Irving right in the picture. Right in the picture. As they make their way down the Brilliant Sounds Hill. Number 12, Norwegian. Gronstra looks across. Who is the man that's in fourth position there? It's Buttigieg challenging Irving. But Irving knows the circuit well. He's the most decorated South African motorsportsman. 12 championships behind him, and he certainly can go. He gets turned on by this sort of racing, and he is giving a great performance. In third. Second is Gronstra. In your picture now, number 1. Buttigieg is lying in fourth position as they come towards us. Klepper, Gronstra, then Irving, and then it is Buttigieg. As we leave Kyalami just for the moment, we'll be back to the action in a tick or two.
Towards West Bank's corner, and it's still number 12, Torge Klepper, who is in the lead. Derek Irving has been pressed very, very hard, and that is by the man in fourth place, Dave Buttigieg, and he's been pushed very hard as they come down the ITI mine shaft in towards Continental Corner. As you can see, the gap is beginning to open up now. The battle is developing between Klepper and Gronstra. Gronstra, of course, the world champion, won the world title at Le Mans, and he most certainly will not want to be beaten here at Kyalami. Loves the circuit, sat a team yesterday afternoon, thinks it's absolutely fantastic and would love to race a full Grand Prix here. Derek Irving under pressure at the moment in third and fourth place. Irving holding on to that third place very, very well, but he's got a tremendous battle on his hands if he wants to hold on to that third place. For a moment, he was leading the world champion. Halfway through the race now, as they go across the start-finish line to complete 4 of the 8 laps. And in the lead, it is still kart number 12, Jorge Clapper from Terry Gronstra. Derek Irving lying in third, and Dave Buttigieg in fourth place, and they're going around at 1:23.97. That is incredibly quick.
New lap records the whole way through. Robert, does Gronstra like to sit behind and pace it out, or does he like to lead? No, I think he's getting really worried away. Pepe is pulling away from him a little bit now, and every time he comes down, I think it's down towards the mine shaft, he takes a look as to whether it's possible to go on the inside. He did it on the second lap that way, but he hasn't been close enough to Pepe to take him that since that time. And now they definitely, those two are pulling away from Irvin on Buttigieg, but I don't think Gronstra's over yet, but he does not like sitting back. He wants to set the pace always. Well, it's been a long time since we said we've got a Norwegian in front of the motor race here in South Africa, but we've got Torje Klipper from Norway in the front there. Gronstra's the man that's going to challenge him. He's the world champion from Holland. Derek Irvin, the Springbok, is in third spot, just ahead of Dave Buttigieg. They come down towards us, through the total curve. It's Gronstra in the shot. Now look at the speed. It's like rocket propulsion as they... And Buttigieg's got past Irvin. Irvin's gone down to fourth place now, I think. Buttigieg, I think, has got past him. Yeah, he's got past him, and Derek Irving's still keeping up the pace there as the 4 get away from the others. Just behind, looking at the field, Simon Cullen is there from the UK. Another very quick driver, Marcel Angel, is the second of the South Africans. Jan Sonneby, he's from Switzerland, is lying in 7th spot. Neil Bernick, South African champion 2 years ago, is in there in the Neil's car radio card and putting up a great show. That's a furious pace. We've got new record laps. A best time here. We never thought we'd see a time like this of 1:23.97. Incredible lead.
Well, that's just been beaten because Dave Buttigieg has just gone through in the fastest time of 1:23.69, and it really is exciting, fast and furious racing as Gronstra is going to try on the outside of Conti. That's not a very wise place to go. Not a wise place indeed to go. There's very little there. But Gronstra's going to hold the inside line. He's gone through a bit of a bump there.
That was a fantastic piece of driving, and absolutely fair. He had the space to go through on the inside, and he just had the courage to hold it.
So he goes into the lead, and we'll see if he pulls away. But for the time being, we return you to the studio.
The South African Kart Grand Prix is proudly brought to you by JVC. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back to Kyalami. The positions have not changed over the start-finish line. 2 laps remaining. In the lead, the world champion Terry Gronstra. Took him a while to get past Jorge Clapper from Norway, but now that he's done it, let's see if he can keep the kart on the track under control and whether he can pull away.
Right, as Gronstra now is starting to dominate this race. Has Clapper got an answer for him? Gronstra's looking over his shoulder just to sum up the position. You can see that, as Robert told you, there's no suspension on these machines. They're sitting right down the road, but they are sophisticated motor racing pieces, no doubt about it. They come up the Winfield Hill, touch of the brakes, and Clapper's looking for an inside burst. Just behind in third spot from the UK is Buttigieg, Dave Buttigieg, with lots of experience under his belt, and Derek Irving, the first South African, getting experience now in World Championship racing. Been overseas this year has Derek Irving. But what a fine driver it is. As they go down the mine shaft into RGI, they get a sideways through Conti. We've never seen that before. No vehicle in South Africa laps as fast as this. These are the fastest in the 2 race that we've had around the circuit. It's the world champion from Holland, doing incredible things with his machine. Number 1 from Holland, Terry Gronstra in the front. Clapper second. Third is Buttigieg, and Derek Irving lying in 4th position. He might have an answer to it as they come into the closing stages of this race. But they'll be going into the last lap now. As they get sideways, they go through Nashua Corner. Can you believe it? Buttigieg's right there, and so's Irving. We're into the final lap. There's just under 4 kilometers to go. If Gronstra has Clapper got an answer for him, he's going to be a hard man to beat as the world champion. You don't win championships by luck, you win it by sheer talent and driving ability. Touches the brakes as they go through yellow pages. Gets it sideways. These are the brave driving these machines. Sitting very comfortable there with the engines and the fuel tanks between their legs, engines under their right elbows. They're surrounded by exhaust systems, by aerodynamics, those big wings at the back, and they're coming up the Winfield Hill for West Bank for the last time. These are the fastest machines we've had around these corners in an official race. Klepper is in 12. One is the world champion, Gronster. Into the final stages, half a lap to go.
So the world champion leads. Of course, the Formula One drivers like to play around in these things. Well, certainly no playing around here today at the speeds that these guys are traveling. And you can see them throwing that kart in and out of the corners, perhaps coming towards the end of the 8 laps. They're letting the kart go just a little bit more than they should. And, of course, one wrong move, no suspension. And if you touch something that happens to lay in the circuit, and he's trying to go through on the inside, hasn't got the speed up to total. In towards Nashua they come, over the line to see who gets the checkered flag. Terry Gronster's got the line into the final corner. He's been challenged by Klepper as hard as he can, but Klepper is not close enough. Terry Gronster goes across first. Klepper comes in second. Buttigieg comes in third, and South African Derek Irving comes in fourth position. Very, very creditable ride by Derek Irving, but the world champion certainly had his work cut out here, Rod.
Well, Robert, what do you think of that one? I think that was a fantastic first race for these boys here this afternoon. If that's heat 1, what the dickens is heat 2 in the final going to be like? Now they've summed up the driving ability in the lines through the corners and where they're doing their braking. I think we're going to be in for a real humdinger later in the afternoon. There he is, the winner of the first race, Tom Holland, the world champion, Terry Gronster, and there's the results now. World champion first, just on his tail, is Pepper from Norway, Buttigieg from the UK in third position. The Springbok Derek Irving right on the pace in fourth position. Simon Cullen from the UK, and another South African, Marcel Angel, a great performance in start number 32 in sixth position. Well, it's a good start to the afternoon's racing. There's another 8-lapper, and then the final, which is going to be the JVC Kart Grand Prix, is going to be 10 exciting laps, is going to be this afternoon at 20 to 4.
The South African Kart Grand Prix is proudly brought to you by JVC. We innovate, others follow.
De baie opwindende wedering geweest, 'n baie goeie oorwinning vir die huidige wêreldkampioen Terry Gronster, net vir die van die wat dalk belangstel. Wade Nelson wat omtrent heel laaste was na daardie insident in Wesbankdraai. Hy het sy pad ook geskerp en op die ou end in die 23ste posisie geëindig. So jy as mens dink daar was